Spyro the Dragon without walking. Let's go. Here's the rules of the challenge. The most important thing about this run is that I do not use the analog stick or the D-pad to move Spyro. The only times I'm going to be able to use these are for dialogue and for navigating menus. So you might be thinking, how on earth am I going to get around? And that is by charging, only in straight lines, rolling and gliding. To change direction, I'm going to go into near first person mode, use the right analog stick to change where I'm looking, and when I charge, I'll be going in that direction instead. And last of all, glitches are fine in extreme circumstances. The challenge will be completed when we beat the final boss, Nasty Nork.
What about Nasty Nork? I'm going after him.
The main challenge to start with was attacking moving enemies, or ones that flee from you. Ideally you want to get them first time round, because if you don't, then you'll have to stop, go into first person mode and change direction, which all takes time. Trying to get this one guy in this little hedge maze was just annoying. Couldn't figure out where he went initially. I needed to make sure I got as many gems as possible, because later on we'll be locked out of content otherwise. If I didn't charge when I was in first person mode, my body wouldn't quite line up with what direction I was about to go. You can see here when I'm trying to jump to get out of first person mode, I'm not where I was facing. Other than that, the early parkour in this game was pretty easy. If you think these look hard to get, wait till you see me trying to get the egg thieves later on. And here I'm going into my first level, Stone Hill. Look at how much easier it is when the enemies are charging at you instead. Need to make sure I'm rescuing the dragons as well. At this point, I'd forgotten all about the egg thieves, but when I heard that noise, it did not fill me with hope about this challenge. After headbutting some old men, attacking angry farm animals, and freeing some of our fellow dragons, I was feeling it's time to explore the upper area and take on that thief. Have a guess how it turned out. After chasing the thief for a good while, I cut my losses and moved on to the rest of the level. Back at the homeworld, I freed the rest of the dragons and began to hoover up some more gems. Hunting this knockdown for his gems wasn't too bad once I cornered him. I just rolled side to side until he walked close enough for me to flame. I accidentally overshot this one, but it turned out alright because there was some gems where I landed. I tried again, but failed again. Thought I'd try out the other side this time. There's these weird invisible bump things which always caught me off guard. I did this side first try, so I went back to the other one and then did that as well. This brought artisans to 100% complete. The next level up was Town Square. I remembered this level having some tricky parkour section, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. After freeing the first dragon of this level, I encountered a slightly annoying side effect of this run. If I was close enough to the already free dragon pedestals, I wouldn't be able to enter first person to change direction. It would just throw me into dialogue with the fairy nearby, or it just wouldn't let me. These chests gave me more hassle than I thought. In my normal playthrough of the game, they gave me no trouble whatsoever. But with this challenge, you had to line it up much more carefully. You'll see me struggle a few times throughout the challenge with these, but this one I did fine. I underestimated the second ball and couldn't turn to face him quick enough. I was about to try and take on the egg thief, but I thought I'd pick up a KFC bucket meal on the way. This was the parkour platforming section I remembered. In a normal playthrough, all you'd have to do is turn mid-air to get on the platform. But I couldn't do that on this run, because it would break the rules. And you can't go first person mode mid-air because it will just cancel flight. And you can't roll in mid-air either. Then I realised I could just jump onto the fountain, and then jump across, surely. Except it wouldn't let me land on it. There was something invisible blocking me. I found a tight angle, but it definitely looked possible. Had I done it? Unfortunately not. I just couldn't do it. Reluctantly, I left the level at 58%, leaving one dragon, one egg, and 95 gems behind. Seeing as I was already feeling a bit defeated with this challenge, I thought I should go straight into a level I knew I wouldn't be able to complete. Sunny Flight. In a normal playthrough, these levels can be quite tough still, because of the time limit. I thought, what was the point of me even trying these? If you hit the rolling button while flying, you do a trick in the air. Depending on which one you press, you can change direction by 180 degrees. I didn't use that trick at all during the run. But I had an idea. If I could time it right, I could land on the train tracks. I wasn't the best judge at this, but I got there in the end. I could now go back into first person and turn. Now I just had to take out the trains. I couldn't just wait for the trains to come to me because I'd run out of time. I had to hunt them down. I did it. Well, one of the objectives. There was no way I was going to get them all, especially on the same attempt. I was just so happy that I managed to complete one of them. After all, I needed all the gems I could get. It's time for the first boss of the game, Toasty. Let's breeze past these enemies and then take out the boss. Ah, that dog completely caught me off guard. Got 2 solid hits on me. I knew what to expect now. Took out the old man, rolled out the way of the dog's attack, and then took him out too. Years of Dark Souls training has finally paid off. After getting absolutely body slammed by these 2 dogs, I've no longer got sparks. Collecting gems was more fiddly now, but even worse, any more damage will kill me. I freed the dragon and secured myself a checkpoint. I didn't forget about these 2, don't worry. Tried to find some butterflies to munch on, but there weren't any on this level. Took on Toasty without getting hit. I got a bit lucky accidentally bouncing over this attack. Somehow I missed 11 gems, but I couldn't find them, so I left the level at 94%. The next level I chose was Dark Hollow. It was pretty easy. This level introduced enemies with metal shields, which protected them from my flame attack. This just meant that I had to be a bit more precise with my charging, as I couldn't follow up with a flame. It also gave some of the bigger Norks protection on their front, and the only way to take out the big Norks is with the flame attack. I had no choice but to burn their bums. I collected the key to unlock a chest that I couldn't break open. This meant the level was at 100% complete. To progress on to the next homeworld, Peacekeepers, I needed to have freed a total of at least 10 dragons. I smashed that requirement with 15 dragons freed. I gave Marco the balloonist a head injury and then was on my way. Peacekeepers was the first homeworld with enemies that could actually attack Spyro. And it also introduced cannons. Normally Spyro would be able to rotate these, but we couldn't on this run as it would require walking. We could still light them though. Once again, I activated Hoover mode and began cleaning up Peacekeepers as much as I could. It was only after defeating this cannon operator that I had an idea on how to open the locked chests. It will have to wait for now. At this point I couldn't remember how to reach the highest section of this map, so I tried to parkour across the poisonous lake. This led to my first death. Sad face. I gave up on Peacekeepers for now and started Dry Canyon instead. From here on out, I started to headbutt steps a lot more. Mistakes like these made this run a lot longer. These fireworks were no trouble whatsoever at any point during the run. I made a satisfying glide over to this island and collected the gems. I'll come back for the chest if I can find the key. Failing this glide meant I had a long run back. But I got it this time. This meant we freed another dragon and we found the key. I finished the level at 88% and I completely forgot about the egg thief. So next on the agenda is Clifftown. We start things off by cooking some chefs with our flame. Staring down, a scary lizard. before roasting it. Carefully navigating cliff edges for some gems. Failed to catch yet another thief. Make sure you flame these cauldrons as they spit out gems.
Double kill.
Make it to the top and free the dragon. Barely make the glide to the other side, but we're here. Come on, Sparks. Pick it up. Flame the rest of the vultures, and then free the final dragon in this level. It would have been really nice to enter first person right now. I'll just have to aim from further back. I missed my target, but it actually works out great because I catch my first egg thief. I finish off by lighting the firework, which opened the locked chest. I managed to 100% this level. Before I head to the next level, I decided to head back to the cannon. I baited his shot, jumped out the way, and it opened the locked chest. After charging on the spot for some reason, I make my way into Ice Cavern. I trade blows with a big Gnaw, which Sparks didn't seem too pleased about. Later on, I discover another locked chest. Hopefully I'll find the key for this. I knock some gems off these podiums and spot a small platform in the distance. I lined myself up, nearly giving myself a heart attack in the process, and then glide over. Wow, what's this? A like, a subscribe, and a comment. Now that's a great chest. Cheesy plug over, I once again activate my aggressive Hoover mode. Defeating the Norks and picking up the rest of the gems. That's another 100%. It's time for the next boss, Dr. Shen. I was on a high. I was feeling extremely confident after the last few levels. Before I got yeeted off the edge by one of the first few enemies in the level, I got my revenge and continued with the level. Here's me making it look extremely easy getting this gem. A few extra ramps wouldn't go amiss. Watching this back while editing, I realise how bad I actually am at gaming. I really struggled to flame his backside, but I got it eventually. He hits me twice before I successfully get him. I've lost sparks. I can't afford to get hit again. After losing the fight with the water, I respawned at the checkpoint just before the fight. I did much better this time around, only getting hit in the last phase. This level is yet another 100% complete. Before heading to the next homeworld, I decided to try and bait the cannon into hitting a target on the rock, but I didn't succeed. Off to Magic Craft as we go. Me being me, I didn't see this water and ended up taking 3 lots of damage from it. And then the first enemy kills me. I was off to an amazing start. Moving on from that awful display, I went off to explore the world a bit more. Then I died again. After respawning yet again, I got mugged off by another egg thief. Freed a dragon, secured a checkpoint. This checkpoint was right next to the first supercharge in the game. Basically makes me super fast and super strong. After sending a wizard into the Shadow Realm, I made my way to the furthest point in the level. And decided that instead of making my way back to the start, I'll hop in the nearest portal I see. This portal was Blowhard. Something I think I should mention, I only played Spyro Year of the Dragon when I was younger. The first 2 games I've only done once, and that was about 3 years ago. Hopefully this explains anything that I miss. Once again, I struggled with these chests. After trading blows with a Blowhard, I make my way through a room with wizards making similar sounds to when you have an electric toothbrush in your gob and are repeatedly opening and closing your mouth. Blowhard gave me yet another hard blow, leaving me without sparks. Not to worry, as I avoided taking any more damage in this level, being the skilled gamer that I am. At this point in the run, I'm very surprised with how many levels I've managed to 100%, this being the next one. Back into a flying level, this already looked much worse than the previous one. There was no continuous path on the ground for me to follow. I dropped down to the electric arch platform so I could see where to go next. Nothing looked like a good option, too many things at different heights, not enough landing points. Meant that no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't achieve any of these objectives. Come here! Maybe later then. The next level up is High Caves. Firstly, I got beat up by a weird giant rock and metal spider thing. I wasn't going to be able to go that way. picked a fight with some more wizards. And got attacked by some angry wind. After securing a checkpoint atop this hill, I needed to glide over to the moving platforms. I did this first try. These fairies are always there to catch you. I now needed to line up the supercharged jumps perfectly, otherwise I wouldn't make it. Somehow I didn't bounce off the rock. I made the next supercharge and freed the final dragon. This was another thief I couldn't catch. Big jump and glide. Thief! Another thief! Thankfully, he only ran in a small circle. I was able to catch this one. Not before nearly drowning myself, though. I aimed for where he was gonna be.
Ow! I aimed for where he was going to be.
I finished the level with 379 gems in my pocket. Alpine Ridge was where I noticed some bugs in this game, but I'll get to that in a moment. I flamed the fairy version of a reek from attacking the clones, but was swiftly dispatched by an armoured ginger fellow. This next section is where the bug appeared. You see, this whole level is affected by wizards who move objects and other platforms around with their magic. The wizard at the top of these stairs is supposed to rotate the stairs between a steep, unscalable slope and stairs, but it was stuck as a slope. I killed myself to see if this would fix the bug. It did not. I decided to see if I could find an alternate route up. I took inspiration from NG Plus and jumped and charged into a wall with my back facing a raised platform, hoping to rebound onto it. After a couple of attempts, I made it onto the platform. Unfortunately, this whole thing was pointless. I still couldn't reach the top of the stairs. After some quick googling, I found out that when playing this trilogy on 60 FPS, weird things can happen, such as levels not behaving as intended. I went to the option, switched to 30 FPS briefly. It worked. Climbed the stairs before taking out that half-arsed wizard, then reverted back to 60 FPS. I glided over here and ended up thinking that I went here too soon. So I killed myself to get back to the checkpoint. But it turns out it was another lazy wizard. You'll see later. This was where I had a sneaky feeling that it was bugged again. I was right. Another half-assed wizard later, I switched back to 60 FPS to continue looting. Time to put on another firework display. No problem whatsoever. I eventually came up with a solution. I needed to line myself up in a way where I could light the fireworks, safely roll off to the side, then glide to the other platform before they exploded. I wasn't able to catch the thief, but I was happy to settle for max gems. The next destination was Wizard Peak. Anyone fancy pancakes? Just thought I'd showcase a bit of the combat. You and me both, Spyro. You and me both. I found an alternative route, so I thought it was best to explore. Rest in peace, sheep. Shouldn't have been in the way. I'm not sure who's more embarrassed by this one, me or Spyro. I didn't realise Agent 47 was in this game, waiting to take me out. I went back to the other route and managed to secure the checkpoint. Next came the supercharged section. There was something satisfying with this bit. Not sure if it was just revenge though. I was determined to make it to that far off island, but I felt it was best to probably take a break and complete the rest of the level first. To my surprise, there was another thief running in a small circle again. Gotcha. Through my pure genius and definitely not luck, I baited the big guy into taking out the armoured ginger, dodging his follow-up, and then I took him out too. I turned into the ramp, I made the jump, collected the gems, and caught a stationary thief. No, not office stationary, he was just standing still. This brought my total collected eggs up to 4. That was me done with Wizard Peak. With those levels now completed, I went to the balloonist to go to the next area. There was just a slight problem. He required me to have rescued 5 dragon eggs before he'll take me there. I only had 4. I had to go back and try and get 1 more. After losing my sanity chasing this thief, I went back to the one at the beginning of this world, which went like this. I only went and done it. It was now time for Beastmaker's world. We arrived at the next homeworld, which surprisingly was much easier than the previous one, excluding these deadly fireworks. According to the Fireworks Regulations Act of 2004, these should be stored in a cool and dry place, which these are not. For now, I decided they weren't worth my sanity. I entered Terrace Village. Right off the bat, I noticed these guys hit a lot faster. It would have been really nice to walk and turn while charging, especially against those Norks with the armour that makes them look like a kid dressed as a car for Halloween. For the big ones, I realised the best way to approach them was to jump while charging, dodge any attack, and then flame them. The electric floors in this level weren't too much of an issue, I just had to make sure I went straight for Nork electrocuting them. The delay between going from first person and being able to turn Spyro's head was a big problem when there were multiple enemies. Another great dodge by Spyro. Not much else noteworthy happened in this level. There were some areas I was unable to reach, so I left the level at 88% complete. Next off was Wildfire, but first, check out this showcase of absolute skill. To start with, I thought this level looked much more promising than the previous flight level. While I was right, I could get slightly more, but it still wasn't enough to complete a single objective. This meant this level stayed at 0%. Misty Bog was next. I tried to be heroic here and free this chicken, but it turns out I just char grilled him. Good thing we can fry up some angry dragon eating veg to go alongside it. Okay, so on the wiki they're actually called dragon eating plants, but close enough. I didn't properly align my charge and I got punished. I redeemed myself from earlier by freeing this chicken. It did not shut up. It's hard to adjust Spyro's position by just a small amount. You're committing to a bigger adjustment than what you want. Tap and charge is good, but if you clip a wall or slightly raised area, it can send you bouncing backwards quite far. This room was absolutely packed with enemies. And they got the better of me. I barely completed it on the second attempt. Surprisingly, I finished the level at 100%. I celebrated by accidentally drowning again. Next up was everyone's favourite level, Treetops. I remember absolutely hating this level, so I was really not looking forward to this one. Other than the odd bunch of bananas hitting me, it wasn't going bad at all. I had to be careful on the supercharged ramps, as it can be quite hard to stop or slow down, but that was about it. I did have a bit of a near miss here though. There was a bunch of areas I couldn't access in this level, but I still managed to take home 305 gems. Before we take on the next boss, Metalhead, I polished off the remaining gems here, fully completing this homeworld. By this point in the challenge, I felt quite comfortable with controlling Spyro this way. I still took my fair share of hits, but I was definitely faster overall. I freed this dragon, activating the checkpoint just before the fight, and then I went in. I decided to look behind me for some reason. I got hit. I got hit again when I couldn't get out of the way of him bowling his friend. I swiftly took out a bunch of the pylons right off the bat. Check out this clown. He destroyed his last pylon. I bet he felt a bit silly. Speaking of silly, I thought I could glide through this water. I couldn't. I had to beat Metalhead again. One boss fight later, I finished the level with 406 gems. Not bad. It was now time to bid farewell to Beastmakers. We were on our way to Dreamweavers. This place is made up of a lot of floating islands. I collected a couple of gems and went through the portal of Haunted Towers. Haunted Towers is definitely tricky at points. A lot of the enemies here were invulnerable to Spyro's charge and flame breath. The same for a few doors as well. To get past these, Spyro has to kiss a fairy who will upgrade his flame, but only for a limited amount of time. Because of my reduced mobility, it was tough to get from the chili fairies to the enemies and doors in time.
Not today.
Supercharged the first door no problem. However, the second one required a slightly tighter angle. There were some optional areas in this level which required utilising turning while supercharging, so I was locked out of that. 343 gems will have to do for this one. Up next was Dark Passage. Yes, I'm aware that sounds sus. French bulldogs on steroids could be flamed when big, but also charged when they're small. The armoured tortoises were untouchable big and only chargeable when small. To make them small, either wait or attack the jesters. Only lasts a limited amount of time though. You're about to see one of the best dodges of all time.
He's beginning to believe.
Try to bait the fireball here to hit the locked chest. Turns out they can slightly track you. I managed it on the second attempt though. At this point I didn't realise there was a firework at the end of the level which is used to blast it open. Anyway, a bunch of exploring later, I finished the level with 100% completion. Nice. Lofty Castle had me stuck for a while. Not because of the enemies, but because of the platforming and my lack of awareness. I ruined this Nork's day by popping his balloon and freed fairies, which activated the whirlwind, allowing me to get to a new area. Now, this is the area which had me stuck for ages. You had to break the fairies' cages to activate another whirlwind. I managed all but one. This one here. It required turning while gliding. I tried all sorts of angles, hoping that one of the walls might guide me to them. Nothing was working. I was worried that this was the first level I couldn't finish. Yep, turns out I'm just blind. I missed a whirlwind earlier on. This area that I'd been stuck in for ages was an optional part of the level. Have to pay respects, people. Still, it was a shame I couldn't do it, but what mattered is I actually got to the end of the level. There was another supercharged section in this level which required turning while charging, so I wouldn't be able to do that either. Tidied up the rest of the gems available to me in this level, finishing with 319. It was time for yet another boss fight. Gonna be butchering this, so bear with me. Jacques, I think. This level really tested my patience. The boss itself was easy. The run up to him was the issue. You had the usual collecting gems and defeating enemies, but you also had to complete timed platforming. This required Spyro to damage these jesters, which would then raise a platform allowing you to reach the higher up section. First one was easy. The second one was okay if you got on the platform quick enough. It was this stupid one with two jesters circling two platforms, one on top of the other, circling in different directions. They would only circle though if you were near enough to them, causing them to run away. Again, on a normal playthrough it's quite simple, but with this challenge, not easy at all. To make matters worse, if I died, I would be put right back at the beginning of the level. There wasn't a checkpoint until after all of this. Even right now, as I'm editing, watching, seeing these jesters, it's irritating me. When I eventually did it, I freed the dragon, securing the checkpoint just before the boss fight. Collected a few more gems, and then paused for a quick break. I then finished the level, beating Jacques, and returned to Dreamweavers. There was just one problem. You may know where this is going. Upon returning from my break, I either pressed the wrong button, or just plainly forgot to press record. Yeah, I had to do this level again. This is the reason why when I do beat Jacques, he doesn't drop any gems. One eternity later, I'm back at the checkpoint, although this time I found a key for the locked chest. This boss fight wasn't any trouble. I didn't even get hit when I forgot to record the first time. I was getting impatient and reckless at this point. Either way, the boss had been defeated. It was time to finish what I could in Dreamweavers. I had been collecting gems here and there between the levels, but there were still a few left. In the centre of this level, there was someone operating a magic cannon. This cannon enlarges enemies when hit and returns them to normal if they are hit again. Most of these enemies are repeatedly hit every few seconds, which gives you time to dispatch the fireproof enemies. There are two enemies in this level which only get hit the once and stay large. These enemies are blocking a route up to another level and more gems. I made my way to the centre of the level. It was a struggle as he's constantly rotating away from me, but I defeated him eventually. Damn. I forgot I couldn't rotate the cannon myself in this challenge. The cannon wasn't facing the enemies. I couldn't shrink them. I would need to defeat him again while he's facing them. It took some time and a few attempts, but I did it. When I lit the cannon, it hit the enemy on the left. I took him out, got some gems, and went into the next level, Icy Flight. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? I can land on these. I repeated what I did in the first flight level, and I managed to complete one of the objectives, which secured me a load of gems. Nothing else was achievable here. Time for the last homeworld, Nasty's world. We hop on this head for the final time, get in the hot air balloon, and leave Dreamweavers. This is by far the smallest homeworld. It was a breath of fresh air. No travelling, no enemies, easy butterflies. Nice.
Hey, didn't I already free you?
Unlike the other worlds, we had to complete the levels here in a certain order. With that being said, we made our way to Nork Cove. I really enjoyed this level. It was fun sending the barrels back at the enemies. I sent this one blasting off like Team Rocket. For the most part it was easy to dodge their attacks as it was just in a straight line, very much suited for this challenge. I forgot they came straight back up. I hit the occasional trick shot. Getting to this enemy was probably the hardest part of this level. I need to get up onto the pathway, jump over the barrels, and quickly turn to face the Nork before the next barrel hit me. So satisfying. After unlocking this chest, this level was 100% complete. With Nork Cove completed, it unlocked Twilight Harbour. In this level, there was a grand total of 0 melee enemies. Yeah, it was tough. One of the first enemies in this level nearly killed me right off the bat. The cooldown between their attacks was too quick for me to change direction if I didn't hit them straight away. And the multiple shots meant it was difficult to dodge them. I had to get really stuck in on this level, planning my attacks carefully. This felt like a Souls game at some points. Desperately trying to get to the next bonfire, only to die just beforehand and having all the enemies respawn. Getting in range of more than one enemy at the same time was often a death wish, but I couldn't always avoid it. Many grey hairs later, the battle was won. I had to miss out on a few gems because of another supercharged section. Still, 295 gems in the bag. This was it, the final boss. It was time to face Nasty Nork. Let me just say right now, this really tested me. You're about to see why. He attacked so frequently. His blast could track you slightly, which made them even harder to dodge. And that wasn't even the start of it. What I saw in a moment made my heart sink. A thief. Only this time, they weren't holding a dragon egg. They were holding a key. A key which I needed to complete the level to even get to Nasty. I tried to catch this thief for so long. I even switched from active recording to instant replay so I wouldn't fill up my storage. They were just too fast. I wasn't getting anywhere near to them. I just couldn't catch them. Is this how it would finish? Had I really just failed? I remembered a rule I made. Glitches are fine in extreme circumstances. And this seemed like one of them. The glitch required me to have a local save of Spyro 2 completed up to a certain part. I needed access to Gulp's Overlook. What I needed to do was to try and enter the arena and hit pause just before. If done correctly, the game thinks I'm in Autumn Plains as well as Gulp's Overlook. I hit exit level and it tries to load Autumn Plains and Gulp's Overlook at the same time, while only displaying Gulp's Overlook. Gulp's cutscene will trigger. During this cutscene, Autumn Plains will have finished loading. This is indicated by the game's audio and also the controller vibration when Spyro lands. You should spawn in front of Breeze Harbour, walk backwards, and you'll activate the level portal. You'll know if you did this correctly by seeing a loading icon during the cutscene. Once you spawn in Breeze Harbour, you should hear the level audio. Hit the charge button and you'll fall into the water. You'll hear a menu pop up. Press the select button, then hit the skip cutscene button. Quickly jump in the lava, and when you respawn, something strange will be happening. You'll be flying. Pause the game, select a random level, and once you've loaded into that level, exit the game to the main menu. Resume whatever game you want the glitch on, in my case, Spyro the Dragon. You'll see a stopwatch in the top right corner. It's worked. The game thinks I'm in a speedway level. This means my charge is replaced by a supercharge. This will give me a massive speed boost, which should hopefully help us catch the thief carrying the key. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. I walked during the setup of the glitch. In my head it's okay because it was on a different save file, but I completely understand if you think different. Let me know if you think this challenge run still counts. It was still going to be tough, but it felt a lot more achievable. It made Spyro a bit harder to control at times, as he didn't come to an immediate stop, but overall, it definitely helped. I did it! I got the key. I just needed to unlock the door and... yep. There was a second thief with the second key. This thief was a lot harder to catch, but like the first, I did end up catching it. It was finally time to face Nasty Nork properly. If I get over the stairs first. After all of this, I had to chase him as well. Time to finish this. Remember when I said supercharging meant Spyro wouldn't come to an immediate stop? Well, that was a major issue here, as there was lots of places where I could fall to my death. And this isn't like normal water either, it instantly kills Spyro. To top this off, each time I died, I had to get the keys again. I would just have to be more careful. I said more careful. After so many attempts, I made it to where he was waiting for me. Charged into him, but it didn't count. Not sure why. Now I have to do another whole lap to attempt it again. That didn't happen. Try after try, I was getting better at catching the thieves. The second one was still a lot harder than the first though. I was starting to believe this just wasn't possible. Until it was. I unlocked the last part of the level. I just needed to reach him one more time. I could taste victory. And I died. After that, I realised I was getting quite annoyed, so I paused the game, turned off instant replay, and had a cup of tea to calm down a bit. After de-stressing with a nice cup of tea, I came back to try and finish it once and for all. And after a long time, I did it. I hit save clip, went to check the footage. I did it again. I can't believe I did it again. I never turned instant replay back on. I was so angry with myself. I couldn't just leave it like that. I had to do it again. Now I know what you're all thinking, and we'll say it on 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm a idiot. It took me a while, but I did it. Again, I got back to phase 2. Here you go. It was done. The challenge had been completed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Well, hopefully more, because towards the end I was losing the plot. I'd really appreciate if you left a like, subscribed if you haven't already, and maybe shared it with someone who you think would enjoy it. Until next time, tally ho!